How's it going, guys? Nick here for another Cinema 4D tutorial, and today I'm going to show you 3 quick and easy ways to make 3 different types of low poly trees with inside Cinema 4D. They're super easy, they're super simple, it's super fast, doesn't take long whatsoever. You can get some nice little variations in trees, but not to drag on for longer. Let's go into a new project. And the first thing that we're going to want to build for our first tree, we'll build this middle one first, is we're going to need a cube. So you can either scale down the cube or you can zoom out. It's either up to you. But I'm going to turn garage shading lines on so I can see our edges. And we're just going to make it editable. Grab the polygon mode. Select the polygons. And now we're going to get rolling. So the first thing that we're going to do is, you don't have to be exact. I'm just going to drag it up a little bit, scale it down, and all we're going to do is we're just going to keep extruding this chunk of the tree, and we're just going to slightly rotate it, add some variation, and every time we extrude it, I'm just going to scale it down a little bit more. And you just do whatever you're liking, whatever you feel looks best. You can move the tree around a little bit, and when we get to the top, you just scale it down pretty small. Alright, so we have part of our tree here, and all I did was keep scaling down and rotating and moving our trunk. And now what we want to do is we want to add a couple of branches. So I'm just going to come into the polygon mode and go into the loop and path cut. And along my tree, I'm just going to choose a couple spots to do a little bit of where I want a branch to come out. So, like so, something like that. So I cut one here, and I cut one at the top here. So I'm just going to extrude a little bit of a branch here, scale it down, bring this up, rotate this. Again, we're just quickly extruding and rotating and repositioning our branches and everything, and scaling it down as we go. So that's good enough. There's one branch. Let's grab this one. Let's make a second little branch here. This one can be smaller. Boom. Alright, so we have the structure for our tree. You can make it bigger, you can add more branches, you can do whatever you want, but just for the tutorial purposes, I'm going to make something like this. I'm just going to delete the Fong tag, because that's going to really enable us to see these sharp edges on our models. And now for the leaves. So the way that I like to get the leaves is I'm going to grab a platonic. I'm going to position it right where the leaves would be. We're going to scale it up to a decent size, and I like to change it to a bucky. It's just got some dynamic segment shapes, and it kind of makes it slightly more round. You can add more segments if you want, but one is usually more or less fine. And now the magic happens when you add a displacer as a child of our platonic. We are going to go and grab a shader and just add a noise. And now when we come into our object and we start adjusting our values, we're going to start getting more movement and displacement in our object. So if I start changing sizes here and just messing with all our different numbers here, we can attempt to get a half decent size. Sometimes when we go a little bit too much on the strength, it does make it a little wacky. You can attempt to play with some of these settings, but I'm just going to go nothing too crazy, slightly bent. I'm just going to make it editable so I can scale it in a direction that I want. So I'm just going to scale this up a little bit. We have a little bit of some craziness going on here. Scale this down slightly so it's not as crazy on these pointed segments. And then we can just delete the Phong tag. And we have a low poly little branch here. And if you want, you can copy and paste this one onto the other side. We can scale this one down. You can even rotate it if you're worried about them looking too similar. So we have two little branches here. And then for the third one, we just copy and paste again. Throw that one on there. This one's going to be the toughest because it's got to be the biggest. And that even looks pretty good right there. I'll just rotate this off to the side. Give it a little dynamic look. And boom. Right there we have our first tree. So throw some flat green colors on it. Just a green. Check the reflection off. I'll copy that one over just by control dragging. And we can choose a brown. It's not the nicest brown. I'll add a physical sky in there. Ambient occlusion, global illumination, and we should have our first tree. So this one is the most laborious to make, but as you can see, in a very short period of time, you can get a nice low poly tree. The second one that we need to make is this one here. That one is super easy. All you need to do is add a cube for the base. You can make the Y whatever you want. Not a lot of the Y shows. So just drag this over to the side. Then grab a pyramid. And then you just want to position and scale the pyramid to use whatever you see fits best. So let's go 1200 by 1200 by 2000. Oops, 2000. Something like that. We'll just add a couple rows of segments here quickly. And for this one, all we do is we add a twist onto it. We fit it to parent. And then you just adjust the value of your twist object. You can add a ton of segments if you want to get this kind of smoother turning look. And you just delete the Phong tags off these. And you get these sharp polygons and everything, which look pretty good. It's not going to look the best because it is just the flat gray. I wanted the white on the floor. So you can choose what you like best for the polygons. Usually I keep it a little bit lower because it is a low poly look. I'm just going to use the same colors for everything. Obviously you won't do that, but then you could just scale this thing all up as one for whatever scene you need it for. That's another super easy, super fast one. That one takes almost no time at all. And then you can just adjust the twist and the segments to make variations in your trees, which is super, super fast. And the last one, all I did was take another cube for the stem, trunk, whatever you want to call it. This one should be a little bit longer. I'm probably going to go 2000. And then you just grab some cones, roughly position the cone, set the bottom radius to something. And for this one, all that we're going to be doing is copy and pasting these cones and just adjusting the we're just going to be adjusting the radius and the height of the cone every time. And you just work your way up the tree until you feel like it's at a good height. So we're just going to continuously change size, angle of the things here. We always want to make it continuously getting smaller, because as trees go up, they do tend to get smaller. And now for the last one, we can just shrink it down, something like that. All right. So we have another little tree here. It's a little bit different, but it's very easy. Again, we'll just delete all the Fong tags. And if you feel like there's too many polygons for your liking, just lower down the rotation segments, and you'll get a lot sharper edges. And if you noticed in this one, this pine tree, or whatever you want to call it, has this snow effect on it. This is also super easy. So I'm going to drag another one, and all you do to get that one is just add a gradient. Come into the gradient and make sure it's V. So that's going vertically. And whatever the black is on the bottom of the gradient, so we want that to be the color of the tree. So let's choose a color. And we want to make a second one of those colors. So if you control drag the little tab, and then you just control drag the white all the way back, so you get a hard line there. You can maybe bring it up a little bit more, so that a little bit more of the tree is showing. And then you just place that material on every section of your tree. And when we go ahead and render, we have our 3 different trees in just over 10 minutes. It took to explain how to make 3 different types of low poly trees. So this is a super simple, super fast way to make a small variation to trees. There's obviously a ton more low poly trees that you can make, but these are just a few that I thought I'd share with you. Alright guys, hopefully you liked the video, hopefully you can find it useful, and hopefully you'll use it in the future. Alright guys, have a good one.